One to a new segment of Let's Get Real. Today, we're doing a panel, and I'm joined with Latoya Royal, Batista, Pamela Lindo. We have a few other people joining us. Um, Michael Lindo. Corinna's going to join us shortly, and also Brianna Brooks. And Andre Anderson, who is our guru for streaming and everything, will also be joining the conversation today. We had another person, but I don't know what happened. So it is what it is, but God will bless. Today we're talking about, oh, geez, I've lost my train of thought. Can someone help me with the title? It's Let's Get Real, but it's real versus brain dead. Here, I'm sorry.
Expectations versus reality, I think.
Thank you. Expectations versus reality. And we have a lot to get to in such a short hour, but we're going to start this conversation out. Can I have someone pray?
Sure, I'll pray for you. Let's bow our heads. Lord, we thank you for bringing us here today. We hope that what we say today be inspiring to one another and to others who are viewing this broadcast. We ask that your special blessing on what was viewed here today. It'll be to your name's honor and glory. It's my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Please feel free, those who are out there streaming, to send in comments or questions. But let's get it started. There's been a lot of stuff in the news lately. But one of the things that our young people are really, as well as older people, are being impacted by are the gender roles. And I don't know if we've totally gotten away from a lot of the things that the Bible talks about with gender roles. Um, but let me start with the first question. Do you think it's okay for a woman to propose to a man? Let me give a little background before we get into that. There was a young woman about, I guess, 2 weeks ago who was pregnant and they were not married, and she decided to propose to her boyfriend. He apparently didn't take it too well because he just kind of stared at her because he just didn't answer her. He was just like, really? And I want to pose this question. Are we getting too far away from what God has set up? Or are we too traditional? Or should we relax the standards and allow this to happen? I want to start out with one of our young people, Andre, and then let's start with the male side. We're going to go to Andre, then we'll go to Michael, and then we'll come back on with Toya and Pamela.
How you doing, everybody? Um, the way I see it, it all started out with the Garden of Eden. Um, you had Adam. Adam learned that he was not able to function or do his job or even exist as a person without having someone else. And so God made Eve. As for the roles as to whether or not, a man should allow a woman to propose to him, personally, I don't see anything too wrong with it. I would prefer to be the one to do it, to propose, because the way I see it is and we spoke about this already, Sister Woodard, if I'm interested in the person, and we're at the point where we're already talking about marriage and we want to get married, I'm probably gonna end up proposing before she gets to the point where she needs to propose. But what I'm seeing nowadays, where it's becoming more common for women to propose to their men, I don't see too much wrong with that. You need to be traditional in what they do.
You
But then
kind of
you
cut out,
also have these cases where,
Andre. You
oh,
kind of
okay,
cut out for a little while,
hello,
so
yeah,
we
oh
missed the
boy,
part what you were saying. You said you don't have any problems with the woman, especially if you were at that point. And
yeah,
after that, kind of
uh-oh, I had an entire spiel going on there. So what I was saying was, if we get to the point where I'm getting ready to get married, we've already spoken about getting married. We've already, hinted at those things. Me personally, I would probably end up proposing before she gets to the point where she feels like, wait, should I start doing it? Should I propose? But as to, in the greater society, I don't think that it necessarily has to be where the man proposes to the woman. Because we have those issues, those cases where some people prefer the very, very traditional thing where a man will ask for straight up permission, not even like, do you ex that we're going to be okay together, or can you help finance the marriage? They go to the father, and sometimes without any input of the woman at all, they will ask, hey, I would like your daughter's hand in marriage. And whatever the father said goes. Some people prefer that. For me, again, I'm, I guess, a bit more new-minded, younger. I think it's best to involve the parents, obviously, because you're gonna obviously marry the family, but it is not completely necessary.
well, I have a question before we move on to
Okay.
Michael. So, and welcome Brianna to the conversation. We're glad you could be here. Uh, you were saying, that maybe in a traditional sense, the men were going to the girl's parent or father asking for her permission, asking for their permission, and you not know. Well,
Yep.
before you would go to the father, wouldn't you have some kind of feeling whether that girl is into you enough to marry her?
You were kind of breaking up right there. Well, probably everybody else were here, but I couldn't hear you.
Okay, I
Can you
was
repeat that
saying
last?
that I was saying that wouldn't you have some clue, since you've been dating this young lady, that uh, whether she was into you or not before you proposed, or go to her
Oh yeah,
father?
usually that would be the case usually, but that it doesn't always happen like that.
So they have a
That
lot
is
of
the
shows now. They have a lot of shows now
mhm.
about that 90 Day Fiance, that Married at First Sight. Would you be inclined to participate in something like that?
No, no.
No. Okay, we'll get back to that. I'm going to go ahead to Michael.
Good evening, everyone. I I don't have a problem with if she were to ask me to for my hand in marriage. I'm more concerned about where the two of us are in the same accord. We're ready to make that step. We have a good relationship. We're strong enough to do that. So I don't have a problem with it. As you can see, Pam, my wife, is on the part of the meeting, and it just didn't happen that way. But I'm of the accord where I would have liked to went to her parents to ask her hand in marriage. But I think in my situation, our situation, being that her parents and my parents knew one another, um, they grew up together in Panama and Central America, that we had a family relationship first, and it just so happened that we met each other officially in high school in the academy in New York City, and we just met that way. I think um, being that we grew up in the church, the Christian church, the Seventh Day Adventist community, that we knew each other from the family history. Was had a history together. We knew each other, and that I guess so to say, my reputation, so to say, or our reputation preceded one another, and that way, um, her parents or her mom knew me through my mom, to my parents, and it just worked out that way. So it was good, and it was fine.
Okay. I know Toya is dying to say something. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead, Toya, and then I like to, if Pam, you don't mind, I like to see put Brianna in.
Okay, I believe, uh, first of all, a woman proposing to a man, me being a woman, I just couldn't do it. That's where in our society now, our gender roles have become so blurred and those lines have become so easily crossed because we have so many people trying to be men, trying to be women, women trying to be men. And those lines are so blurred, so crossed, and those lines were defined. Jesus defined the lines. A man is a man, a woman is a woman. And we've gotten into this mentality where, okay, I'm a strong, independent woman and I can do whatever a man does. And we don't allow men these days to be men, to fulfill the role that is expected of them because we've taken on the I am woman, hear me roar type of mentality. It's it's I'm looking for the right word. I don't want to say it's very disturbing along the lines of, okay, I have to propose to this man, or the fact that I feel I have to propose to this man because he's never going to propose to me. And I'm going to do this because I don't want nobody else to get him. So if I propose to him first, then more than likely he's not going to turn me down. And now I got him. And that's the mentality of, I believe, women that propose to men. It's not the fact that, okay, I'm waiting for the process to naturally take its place in the the timeline to play out. It's okay, I have to get him before somebody else get him. So if I propose to him, then he's mine. I got him. It's more in the lines of like that because if a guy doesn't propose to you, they have a timeline where it's so many years. That it's what, 2 years of dating, 1 year of engagement, and then that next year is the point where it's supposed to be married. If you're dating 5, 6 years, 7, 10 years, common law marriage, state of Florida, and you feel the only way you're going to get him is if you propose to him, then baby, you don't need him. You don't need him because you've already been independent woman. Hear me roar. I'm not proposing to you. That's just it. Because I'm proposing to you. I'm asking you to be my husband. Where's your masculinity? What is your role in the marriage? What now becomes your role in the marriage? Now, am I the provider? Or do you still maintain the role as provider since I'm the one wearing the pants and I'm the one that say, hey, you're mine, I'm going to marry you?
All righty, well, Brianna.
I agree 100% with Miss Toya. Like with, as she says, my pride. Honestly, I don't think I could do it. We would just be looking at each other like, you know, because I'm not going to do it. I don't think. And my person, I like the idea of like a guy asking a girl. I guess I'm very traditional on that. I don't have any facts, to breaks or to help my point, but that's just me. I think that, and I'm the same way in terms of like masculinity. Like if a guy's voice is like super higher than mine, I'm not gonna, it's gonna be a no for me. Because I already have a high voice, so if it's already squeaking, it's a no. But yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay. Well, you have a right. Everybody has a right to their choices or their feelings, and I have to agree. Pamela.
Good afternoon, everyone. Everyone made a good point. And I agree with you, Latanya. And I agree with you too, Andre. But we still in a society where everything is wishy-washy. There's no definite line. Everything is as it could go either which way. We're going whichever way the society is saying, and we're losing ourselves. When I say we're, meaning ladies, we are losing where we should be, the feminine. We are now more, like you said, Latanya, women here we war. Because if a man doesn't ask you and there's a baby involved, how long does it take? Because it takes 9 months for the child to come out. We had more than enough time to get it together. But sometimes you don't want to make the situation worse by you're having a baby and then you're married to one person. So there's always a twofold there, because you can also be married just because. Remember back then we used to call it shotgun weddings, where our parents used to say, "Okay, you got her pregnant, you got to marry her," and there was no say so. But time has changed, so but I'm still pretty much old fashioned. I want a man to court me. I have 2 boys. I'm hoping I'm training them to court a woman, to do the manly thing and stuff like that. And women nowadays, we're very forward. So sometimes that can make men go, I don't know, she's too forward for me. So we may be given the right intentions, but it can make men feel uncomfortable. And that's where I leave it. Women and men are starting to feel too uncomfortable.
Okay, so I'm listening to what everybody's saying, and if we put it in the context that Andre put it in, then yeah, I kind of understand why maybe a woman wouldn't feel so in out of place. I don't even want to say out of place, but wouldn't feel so funny about maybe proposing because she has that relationship already with her partner. But I'm talking about you've been in a relationship, not going anywhere. You've made, several faux pas, and all of a sudden you feel this urge to get married. But this person isn't asking you. You ask them, and then they just kind of look at you like. I asked several young men, ranging in different ages, but the ages of like 23 to 28, most of them told me, all but one said out of five, said, yeah, no. Said if a young lady asked them to marry them, he wouldn't feel that way because they felt like if I wanted to marry her, I'd ask her. And I was like, wow. So are we setting ourselves up, ladies? Are we setting ourselves up for that disappointment? Um, there's certain things, I know I haven't, I'm sorry, Corinne joined the conversation. I haven't given her a chance, but I just want to say to the fact that me personally, I'm like Brianna. I'm not getting ready to ask a man to marry me. That is not going to that is not going to happen. But when we're in these making these decisions of our lives, sometimes we've gotten so far away from the biblical teachings that we forget that God does have certain gender roles for us. I'm never going to be as strong in the upper body as a man. I don't care what you say. It's just not going to happen. Men are much stronger upper body than we are. And so certain things that they can do, we may try. You have some very strong women that do a great job. But at the end of the day, how is it going to affect our health later on? But there are certain things that we do well that men don't. And that's just the way our makeup, our build. And so when we start taking on these other roles, I start seeing certain things come into play of difficulties because then it's like, well, where's the line drawn? Who's over here and who's over there? Yeah, I can take the trash out, but I'm not good at fixing a car. It's not my thing. You have some women who are, but I think the majority are not. But anyway, let me give Corinne the opportunity to join this conversation.
I agree with the ladies. I would never in a million years ask a man to marry me. I feel like if I have to do that, then we're missing something. And my standards apparently were mixed up somewhere along the lines for you to think that it's okay to just go on and on without asking me to be your wife. I feel like our standards now today have dropped a lot, and in this particular situation, her being pregnant on top of that, I just feel like is totally just downgrading because you're already pregnant and then you're getting down on one knee and proposing. I don't agree at all with it. I actually look at the man in that situation a little sideways because I'm like, she's carrying your child and now she's proposing to you and you're just standing there. What have you done? Because right now you're not proving yourself. And I couldn't be with someone who wouldn't want more from me. And please don't, if you were to propose, do not feel like you're obligated because I have your child. Please don't do that. Do it because you love me, and that's what it really is about. Don't do it because we have a child together. And for her being pregnant, I just feel like it was really, it makes it different than just a regular proposal of a woman proposing to a man. I feel like it sets it apart from the other situations.
So what you're saying is you feel as though this woman's getting ready to have this man's child. She cares about him enough or loves him enough that she wants to propose to him, but then it's not reciprocated.
That and I feel like in every relationship, when you're starting to get serious, those conversations should come up. Oh, where do you see us getting married? Do you see us getting married? I feel like those type of conversations should be happening. We should have a plan. If we're in school, then okay, let's finish school. Let's start maybe looking forward towards our careers and then see about getting engaged. Okay, we have a game plan. But going into a relationship blind and not having a direction, okay, we just gonna go with the flow. I don't agree with that. I feel like those type of conversations should and need to be had.
Okay. I don't know who was first. I'm gonna go to Brianna, and then I'm gonna go to you, Latoya.
Okay, so just to comment on what Corinne said too, I completely agree. I think two things. One with the time thing, like, oh, we're gonna get married after this. I feel like a lot of times people use that as excuses to keep pushing marriage off. So they say, oh, well, we'll have a baby, after we finish this. And then the guy will tell you, oh, well, this came up, so now we'll have the baby. Or, well, now we'll get married after this. Sorry. And so I feel that that's used also as an excuse to keep putting it off. But I also feel that as ladies, we have to hold ourselves up high. We have to have enough self-worth. We have to have enough self-love. We have to know that we're a child of God. Like we are queens. We have to know that. And if a man really wants you, he will put in the time, he will put in the effort, all the things that you want, all the things that you desire, all your hopes and dreams. God will allow you to find that in a man when the time is right. In today's society, I know I was telling my friend the other day, we see so many people getting pregnant and getting married at so young. And it's just like, dang, did I miss the memo? Like, am I supposed to be married, having kids, all this stuff now? But when it's your time and when God sends you the right man, you'll know. It won't be any question about it. Everything that you want, if you want your feet massage, if you want roses, he will do at that plus so much more. And I don't even think you'll have to question it, whether he loves you or not. There'll be no doubt in your mind because it'll be everything you need plus so much more.
Okay.
Go ahead, Toya.
Going off of what Corinne was saying, I believe right now in society, It's the gender roles that have taken the biggest hit when it comes to the realization, reality, tradition against new age. It's the gender roles because everybody has the mindset, or we're pushing the mindset of I'm free, and I if I'm a bird today, I'm gonna be a bird today, and then if I'm a butterfly tomorrow, I'm gonna be a butterfly. And no, okay, that's our biggest. We don't hold people accountable for what they know that they're supposed to be, the things that they're supposed to do. Just like Brianna said, our standards have started to lower and lower and lower. It's because we're not holding people accountable. If you're my son and I raise you to be a man, your father raises you to be a man, and these are the standards, and this is what I have taught you, I expect you to uphold those standards. Plus, you're going to add more to your standards so that when you have kids, you have things that you want to pass on to your children. So instead of us increasing the standards and raising above the standards, our standards are starting to go in the wrong direction. And now we have kids that feel that it's okay for, oh, well, I'm not going to propose to her. I'm going to be in a relationship with her for 10 years. And it's funny because they'll be in a relationship with you for 10 years. You will finally get fed up, decide you don't want to be with them no more. They'll leave you and go marry somebody within a year. And everything that you was asking them to do for the 10 years, they're doing for her in the year. And
Yep.
it's just, but as women, we have the mentality of number one, I'm not starting over. I done been 10 years in, 10 toes down. I'm not starting over. It's too much. We know that it's a little wild out there now, and the standards aren't the same. So it's very hard. But we have the mentality of we don't want to start over. We don't been with this person. And I think that's why women started to propose to men. Like, I'm not starting over. Why would I start over? I done been with him, so let me just lock him down. And that's what looks like it's starting to happen.
Uh, well, I saw your hand, Michael, but I want to say this, and then we also got a comment. Um, Women tend to be okay. Women are the type, we're such nurturers and whatever. So now here we are. The young lady, she's pregnant. She thinks she's in love, because I won't say that she's in love because I don't know her, but she's pregnant. She's about to have this man's child. She's in love with this man, and he hasn't asked her to marry. I personally would not want my child to add insult to injury. You've already made one mistake. You got pregnant. You had relations outside of marriage, and here you are now. You're going to be saddled with this baby. And I shouldn't say saddle because the baby is harmless. The baby had nothing to do with your sin. It's a result of your sin. And that baby should not be penalized for your sin. But here it is. You're in love with the father of your baby, but he doesn't appear to be in love with you. So, you know, trying to move forward with that, pick up your last, ladies. I would say to that young lady, it's time to move forward. Ask God for your forgiveness. Do what's best for your child. But you can't make somebody love you. And that's one thing I've learned about a man, is something that my father has always told me. When a man loves you, you never have to run after him, hunt him down, call him 100 times, checking his phone, none of that foolishness. If a man truly loves you, he will pursue you. You'll get sick of him instead of the other way around. Reading the question, I'm going to get back to you, Michael, right after this question. If you have been in a relationship for 13 years, back and forth, and is there any hope for this relationship at all? My
No, no,
personal
no,
opinion is,
no,
if
no.
that man wanted to be with you for real, not play, for real, he would have been with you, because men are that way. My husband pursued me for 5 years. I was like, nope. I don't want to be bothered. I dated other people. He was right there being my bestest friend. And after 5 years, I told him I wouldn't pursue me for 5 years. But that shows me that he really wanted to be in it. And he was always there giving me good advice. He said, "Okay, he's gonna do such and such and such, and I need you to do such and such." And I started listening, and I started doing it, and sure enough, it worked out for me. But you know, let me let Toya. I'm gonna go to Toya. Oh, Mike. I'm sorry, Mike. Michael. Sorry.
Okay. I have a couple of statements, a couple of questions in a statement. I don't know personally where. I know the Bible has the answer for everything, and I would like to know. I've never come across it myself the standards of the so-called gender and responsibilities for each in the gender roles. So if anyone knows that, I would gladly like to know so I can do my research and look into that myself. My next point is is for Rihanna. So if my voice is high, you wouldn't want me. So you gonna put that up there like that? And rather me coming down deep low, hey Rihanna, hey girl, you got it going on. So what's going on, Rihanna? So you putting you put my voice as you put my voice as a high standard when I got love for you. I was like, girl, come on over here, let's do this. That's what it
Yes, because
is.
at the end of the day, I'm just gonna tell you to be quiet. It's gonna annoy me. Like I'm gonna put you in your place. Like, I don't know who you're talking to. If they try to get like, aggressive or something, I'm gonna see like say it with your chest or something. Uh,
But Rihanna, he may have some great love for you, caring, and abilities you're looking for. Um, what you're not gonna put his voice of what he can give
yes,
to you, right?
my personality, I would bully him. I'm just be honest. My personality, I'd be cracking up with it. I can already see myself.
It's clear she likes what she likes, man. Like she's not gonna change that. That's her standard.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's one person on this line who we have a long standing relationship, and this person at one time said to me, "I cannot deal with a man who's shorter in stature by me." And the person cracking up right now, I ain't gonna call no names, but she said, I can't be no shorter man than me. And I said to the person years ago, listen, this person got love for you, got high qualities for you, and everything's looking good, all the positives. And they said, I can't do it. I just can't do it. So what'd you say about
You
that?
wasn't shorter than me,
But
though.
his voice was probably deeper than hers.
It was deeper, and he wasn't shorter than me, but he still wasn't as tall as I preferred.
Okay.
So Lord, I don't even know. But what Mike was saying with the deeper voice, I understand Brianna because that is her way to define her gender role. That's her line of okay, men are supposed to have deeper voices than women, and women are supposed to. So that's her gender role. I think that I'm with Brianna. A man with a high pitched voice is going to be subject to some kind of abuse. Like you're going to get made fun. I don't want to say
Careful now,
abuse.
careful. Watch it.
He might be getting beat in the background. Might be beaten. Men don't tell when they get beat. I'm with Brianna on that one because it is. It's a very that's like you're coming of age. Like the voice starts to drop. You start to develop those muscles. The chest starts to stick out. That is coming into your gender role, and that voice is a part. That's an initiation into manhood when that voice starts to drop. You can't be walking around 25 with a high pitched voice and I understand that. I understand where Brianna is coming from. With that's a gender role thing. You're laughing, but I feel her. That's a gender role. That's a coming into your gender role.
Well,
We all
I want you to address the question though. Been into a 13 on and off relationship.
no, no. I don't think that after a 13-year off and on, I personally don't believe that person and you can actually have a relationship that is going that's going to have a relationship that is actually going to be effective. If it took you 13 years off and on to figure out if you wanted to be with this person, if you didn't want to be with this person, you're not going to accomplish anything. What happens if you were married and you went on an off period or you went on an on period? It's like the relationship is kind of telling of how the marriage is going to be. And if you've been together 13 years off and on, like you weren't meant to be, but you were scared to get your feet wet out there and try to date someone else. I think that's what it is. It was kind of a fear factor of, I know this person, I've dealt with this person, so let me just go back to dating this person. I really don't want to be with them, but because they're known and I'm used to them, let me just continue dating them.
I look at that as going from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, showing up every day of class and getting no high school diploma. Like that's why I look at that. Showing up, putting in work every single day. You're putting in work. You're dealing with the teachers, the annoying classmates, the students on the days you don't want to go, and you're still getting no diploma in the end. So what's the point?
Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in on the question?
You know,
Pam?
that's a really ticklish question because it could be the fact that maybe they're in school. You know, like when you're both in college, you're giving each other time to finish your degree before you go into that next step. And that could be an issue. But then again, it could be they're still trying to figure out, is this the one? Sometimes you just take time to figure out, is this the one? But then again, it could be we women already know him. I don't feel like starting over. It could be that particular one. Because we realize that there's more disease out there. Starting over causes a whole lot of other questions. And I'm sure when they go on family outings, oh, when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna get married? You know, that it becomes like, so when are you gonna marry her? Or when are you gonna marry him? And sometimes you just stay because you just don't want to hear that.
But with men, I have to address this to our men. Men, if you all know your minds, well, I would hope at this point, you know your minds pretty well. Would you be in a 13-year relationship and not, make a commitment to that person? And if you are, is that a thing that men are saying, hey, if I wanted to marry you, I would have, but you're convenient. Michael, Andre,
Andre, I'll let you lead, Andre.
chicken.
Really?
Now,
Really?
I'm gonna let the youngin have that. 'Cause I got my say. I'm gonna let him go.
All right, sure, why not? I would say that if at some point, for me, I would not let it take that long. I'd be surprised she would want to stay with me for 13 years in the first place. But if we've been together for a long time and it's been on and off, honestly, at some point I would be like, you know what, it's kind of worthless. It's kind of useless. Like the relationship isn't going anywhere. And if you're on and off, depending on the reason why you're on and off, then the relationship wasn't going anywhere, or it's just really bad circumstances. Like if it's just like, oh, well, we like just family and all sorts of nonsense going on and has nothing to do with us, that's a little bit different. But I'm assuming that whoever asked the question, she's talking about that, you've been breaking up, you've been coming back together, breaking up, coming back together. That is an indication of what you're probably going to be doing during a marriage. And it's a bit different to be doing on and off when you're just dating than during a marriage. And if you're doing a 13-year on and off sort of thing, you're definitely going to be doing it during the marriage. And I personally, as a guy, I really don't want to have to deal with somebody who I want to put them away for a little bit and then come back and then still put them away for a little bit and be doing that for 13 years. That's not fun for anybody.
That's not.
Wait a
I
minute,
want,
wait.
but
Before Mr. Michael comments,
wait a minute, Brianna had her hand up. But go ahead, Karina.
I just want to say, once again, if this conversation has not come up, I'm gonna be generous and give you 5 years if we're in school, stuff like that, whatever. You got 5 years, buddy. I'm not waiting past 5 years. If you have not decided what you want to get, I'm gone. I'm not putting 13 years into it, and then you're around here heartbroken because you put all this time in and you've gotten no result. I'm not doing it. I'm so sorry.
Or
It doesn't sound like you're arguing with me. I agree.
I'm sorry.
she agreed. Brianna, I know you have a comment. Go ahead and make your quick comment because I need to throw in something here. Go ahead.
Okay, just 2 quick things. Number one, as I was pondering on this question, 13 years is a long time for someone not to put out. I personally do not know a man that's going to wait 13 years not to have sex with a woman in today's society and age and just be straight. So y'all basically married, doing everything, and he still hasn't proposed. That was my just little realization right there. And second, when we were talking about this, I thought of what's his name, Jacob from the Bible, and how this man worked. I probably gonna butcher the years, but I think the first time it was 7, and then his father gave him the ugly sister, and he still wanted Rachel, so he worked a couple more years to get this girl, and some of y'all won't even get a job, so it's just
Great, Sister Brianna. That's what I'm talking about. Because if you're not going anywhere, why are you staying in something that this person clearly is not trying to commit to you? And also, these are the men that generally turn around, meet somebody else, and turn around and marry them. And you sitting there going, I wasted 13 years of my life. You're not getting any younger. Get out there and find someone who loves you. I'm going to segue right now because I want to get this question in. There was a question posed to me, so I got to pose it to the panel. The person said they wanted to know if how did they say? Are you able to be friends with someone who you used to have a relationship with once you're in a new relationship, or become married? Now, I see your hand, Toya. I need to get everybody's thing, so we're gonna make it quick. Go ahead, Toya.
I still have friends that I've dated before I got married, but we broke up as friends. So there was no animosity between us. My thing is, if you're truly a friend with somebody that you date, there shouldn't be, once you part ways and you part ways the proper way, there should be no reason why you can't be friends. So yes, I still have friends that I dated before I was married, and we have remained friends throughout the marriage and everything else. So I believe yes, you can.
Okay. Let's go to Pamela. She's been quiet.
This question hits home really close because people always say you can't have male friends and still be married. And I think it's so unfair because there's no reason not to, because the male can have friends and it may not mean anything, but for some women they get jealous. I'm not that type. I know who I am. He knows who I am. I know who he is. And once you have that balance, no one should be able to come in and cause that uproar. I'm not saying that I do not look at someone and say he's a good eye candy. Let me not say that because I'm gonna be lying. But I'm not going to bed with him. But the men can do, if I'm walking with my husband, I see someone and she looks cute and I don't see him turn around, I'm like, yo, well, what's up? Because that makes me go, wait, what happened? Did we lose something here? But that's just me. But that doesn't mean anything. So you could still be friends and still admire someone from the far. And like the young lady said, if we stopped being friends and there was no more romantic thing, we're just friends. There's some that I'm still friends with. There's no problem. But I'm not jealous.
Okay. But we have women who are jealous. We have women who want to go through people's phones. My take on that, because there was a young man who talked to me about his girlfriend going through his phone trying to see and wanted him to delete all of his exes. My whole thing is that yells to me that you are insecure and have trust issues. And if you have trust issues, it's not going to go anywhere anyway. Corinne, can you read the comment, please? Oh gosh, Ruth 3. Wait a minute. Oh, okay, he moved it over. Ruth 3 demonstrates that a woman can still be virtuous. Then you should read it.
Be virtuous. If she pursues a man in marriage, it is important not to let personal thoughts or opinions dictate what is acceptable. Some men need promoting.
Okay, what do we think about that?
I'm gonna say, well, going back to the original statements before the reading, everything depends on the maturity of an individual. If you're at reach a certain point in your life and you're comfortable with yourself and where you're at, who you're committed to, then it shouldn't be a problem. I know in taking my vows with my wife that I even said to her every now and then, I throw it at her rather than she at me, because I know that when we had the minister say the vows, he said, I put it in rank order. I made a commitment to God first. Then I made a commitment to my wife second. And in order for me to have a successful marriage, my marriage first will have to be successful through Christ first, because I had to put everything in rank order. So I didn't want to break my commitment to Christ first by not honoring the marriage vows. And then I made the commitment to her second. And then I made a commitment to myself. So when I put it in that perspective for me as an individual, I think I've honored the whole marriage system, so to say, that putting Christ first, breaking my promise to him, and then breaking my promise to my wife second. And I think that has kept us firm in our commitment in our relationship. I think as an individual before marriage, it still goes back to the maturity level. How you were raised in a home, and you got to put some weight on yourself. Are you interested in learning what marriage commitment is about? So if you put that thing, what you learn in a combination, what you learned in a home and what you learn for yourself, what you're going to bring into the commitment, it determines your maturity level and how successful you'll be in that relationship with the person you want to be with in the future.
Well, I'm going to get to you, Pam, in just a second, but I'm going to throw this out. A young man said to a friend of mine, if I'm in a relationship, what's the difference between being in a relationship and a marriage? Pam?
The difference is, one is a commitment that you make to each other in the sight of God. The other one is just a relationship for you to get to know each other, get to that point where there's a marriage proposal. That's where you have your engagement period. That can go from 5, no more 6, 7 years, maybe, but there's that period right there. I just wanted to say something before. In our church, there are not many men that does too many things in our church. So there, in this particular religion, see that there's more females in church that do things, and the few men that are in church are doing things towards the youth. there are very few men. So, so when you look at it in the sense of my husband's in the church, he does a lot with the youth. So that means he's around a lot of females, you know, in the church, out the church, but he's dealing with a lot of other females. And to me, I am has no problem with that because we're in the church, we're in the ministry to help our youth. We're here to help our youth go to the next level. So when you look at it, and there's sometimes people say, well, he's always around a lot of females. So what? That's why a lot of men don't come in it because certain women can't handle it. I don't have a problem with it because I know who he is and he knows who I am. So once again, we can't expect men, but then if we have a crazy woman who's going to be looking at your phone, I ain't got time for that. We're not doing that because it just seems to me that then there's no trust. And if you don't have trust, ladies, in a relationship, it ain't going to work. You
It's
have
not.
to trust it. You have to trust yourself and you have to trust the person that you are about to marry. Because there's going to be times that you're not around each other 24/7.
And
And
isn't it true also the fact that if things are that bother you before you get married, if there are things that those idiosyncrasies, don't they get worse? You know, because people tend to relax once they get into a relationship and especially marriage, and so those things that weren't so big just kind of annoyed you. They become pretty big issues, like whether you throw your clothes on the floor or not. And ladies, you do yourself a disservice. This is just me. You do yourself a disservice by getting into cohabitating, because if they're getting the milk for free, why buy the cow? Toy.
That's what I was just about to say. The reason why people see no difference between relationship and marriage is because they're doing marriage activities in a relationship. You're not letting anyone have to work for anything. The relationship is, hey, look, I'm going to tease you. This is what you can get if we get married. And then when we get married, it's like, hey, here it is. I'm going to give you the full out. But we are so quick to just jump all out and be like, hey, this is what you get. And then the person's like, well, if I'm already getting this, what I need to marry you for? And that's where we have that relationship and marriage. People wonder, okay, what's the difference? The difference is a lot of people are like, okay, it's a piece of paper. You know, we, we're already living together. We already got kids together. But now, when you're in a marriage, you should be to the point where you want to start building. You're building a foundation. What you're doing is you are literally building your family, because eventually one day you are going to be the matriarch and the patriarch of your family. So as a marriage, that's what you're building, so that you're teaching your children, okay, these are our standards. This is the goals we want for you. This is what, a family unit looks like. And a family unit is always so much stronger when it's a husband and a wife in a household, and a mother and a father. People don't really understand that. They thinking that just this relationship, you don't really have to work out a relationship. A relationship don't work, you can hit the door. A marriage, you're going to actually put in a little more work than you're doing in a relationship. You're going to say, okay, I done built so much with this person. I'm not willing to just throw this all away. As in a relationship, let me get my keys, let me get my little bag, and let me get my little dog. Come on, lady, let's go. And we hitting the door. you know but with a marriage, you have a lot more invested together in the marriage, and you're willing to work a lot harder for the marriage than you will a relationship.
And isn't that set up by God? That's why God set it up. And whenever God has something perfect, there is what? A counterfeit. And so we're falling for the counterfeit. I don't know who was next, Brianna or Andre. So, Brianna, Andre, who was?
Um, I'll go. Okay, I agree with Miss Toya 100%. I also think one big difference, as a pre-law major, is that piece of paper holds some weight.
Yes,
If someone kills that man, you know, and y'all aren't married, you're getting none of that life insurance policy. But if you're married, all that policy is yours, honey.
Yes.
All whatever 50,000, 100 million is yours. And you're getting that policy. Same thing. If he tries to leave you, you know, he can just leave you. Oh well, pay my child support. That's it. But if he tries to leave you in that marriage, no, half of this house is mine, and I'm taking everything I can with it. And some of your stuff too. So, you know, I think about that as well.
Audrey.
A couple of questions here. Oh my, okay, I need to figure out how I'm going to phrase this. How seriously should somebody be taking a relationship versus a marriage? Because let's throw sex right out the window. We're not dealing with that, right? What is supposed to be the seriousness behind a relationship versus marriage? Because it sounds like you're not supposed to be as serious when you're in a relationship versus when you're in a marriage. Because to me, I would think if I'm going to be in a relationship, I'm going to take it as seriously. Obviously, I'm not expecting super commitment, but there is a level of commitment that should be there. So I'm going to ask, so this is just a question. How seriously should someone be taking a relationship? And what are the parameters that need to be done that marriage should have that you don't get to put into a relationship? Again, we're throwing sex right out of there because we're not dealing with that. That's too easy of an answer.
Well, here's my take on this. Relationships are supposed to be the building blocks to get to know that person, which Toya touched on earlier. And if you're building a relationship, in that relationship, you're getting to know each other. That's how God set it up. He set it up. I have to go back to my parents' word of courting, which I hate. But anyway, if you're courting someone, you're getting to know that person. And you're getting to know the idiosyncrasies and see if it jives with what you're doing and whatever. Sex was not supposed to be a part of that relationship. It was supposed to be held, according to the Bible, for after you get married. But now this show is called Let's Get Real. We're going to be real about this thing. These young people and old people, let me not leave the old people out, are not waiting. And then you find your relationship broken. And you wonder why it's broken. Because you put sex in front of getting to know that person. And once you actually got to know the person, you may not like them. Because sex kind of skews your view. Because you let the lust overtake you instead of going back to the Bible of thus saith the Lord. See, God didn't get it mixed up. We did. And when we start impressing we try to rationalize. Well, if I do this, then this will happen. No. If we stick with what God told us to do, we'll never go wrong. But when we don't do it according to God, and don't tell me you don't get those red lights. I keep telling I always say we get those red light alerts, and those red lights are going off saying, "Caution, caution, stop, stop," and we just barrel ahead because we want what we want. Because this is the now, I want it right now, me generation. And even with the older people, it's all about what I want. We have to be really careful about guarding the edges of our soul, about our sight, all of that. Because God put up a perfect example of what a relationship is supposed to look like. It's when we don't do what we're supposed to do that we run into trouble. Okay, young lady, you made a mistake and you had a child out of wedlock. Then you look and talk about, well, my mama had one out of wedlock. So we're going to continue the generational curse? Okay, my mama messed up. Doesn't mean I have to mess up. Break the curse. Be greater, because your parents always want the best for you. But our Heavenly Father wants everything best for us because He loves us best. So we have to learn to go back to it. You know, you can say it's old fashioned all you want, but we got to go back to the Bible, because when you compare what you're doing to the Bible and what God expects of us, then you'll never go wrong. But when you mess up, you go back to God and say, God, forgive me. He will wipe those sins away as if they never were there. But He will turn all kind of cheeks for us when man will remember your sin.
Not just that. I feel like people blur the lines between a relationship and marriage, financially, trying to take on the financial burden of your partner. I'm here to motivate you. I'm not here to be your financial advisor. I'm not FAFSA. I'm not here for that. I am here to motivate you. We are friends who just happen to be dating to get to know each other on a deeper level. That's what we are. I am not your wife. I am not here to buy you a new car. I'm not buying you. I don't expect you to buy me a Birkin bag. Listen, stay in your pay range. If you having financial issues, you're venting to me. Oh, well, maybe you should try this, this, and this. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to give you advice. I'm not here to be alone, to buy you this. Well, let me get this apartment for them. No, I'm not here for that. And I feel like we today's generation, we really blur that line and try to take on our others' financial burdens, and instead of just being that listening ear and sometimes just giving the advice instead of trying to handle the person's situation for them.
Michael.
I have a question from Brianna. Being that Corinne just mentioned about finance, and you mentioned a moment ago that you're pre-law, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I hope that in your young life, your successful life, that you have considered that you possibly may make more money than your soon to be. So now, if you come across that situation and you really like this person, and he's of the likelihood that I can't get no woman making more than me, what you gonna do?
Well, first of all, I believe in setting boundaries from day one. So from day one, be like, my forehead does not say Bank of America or Wells Fargo. Number two, um, the Bible says, if a man don't work, he shall not eat. So as long as that is clear, if you're not working, you're not eating, baby. You can't have anything on this plate. So, but if he feels so strongly this way, first of all, I didn't plan to be sharing. Who said I plan to share my money? He didn't go through 4 years of undergraduate at Oakwood University, not any HBCU, but Oakwood University, and then take the LSAT and go to law school. No, that's going in my savings. But I do. Low-key, I've been planning to marry rich, so that's that as well. I expect for him to be well pocketed himself.
Yeah, I had that plan too. It didn't work out, so you better always have a plan B. Look, I'm still looking. I'm widowed right now, but I am in the market. But look, don't make that your plan A, B, or C. Okay, especially if you plan on falling in love and actually finding someone that is going to do for you what the rich ones ain't gonna do. Because I'm gonna tell you, the rich ones ain't gonna do what the poor ones gonna do. Because the poor ones gonna love you for you, and the rich ones just gonna love you for what you can do for them or how you can make them feel. So don't plan on marrying extremely rich. I say just 6 figures. You don't need that 7 figure. Just 6. No, but don't make that your plan A of marrying rich. Okay.
Okay.
But also,
does that mean you
taking into account that that's only 5%? You only have 5% of the men who are up here in the echelon in the first place. Pam, Brianna, Pam, I don't know.
I was gonna say, so does that mean you're gonna have a prenup when you get married?
Ooh.
You know, I've thought about that. I really thought. I don't know how I feel about prenups. You know, I really don't know. I feel that if I'm a lawyer, you're not gonna try to cross me, because baby, I know the laws. Like, you're not gonna try to take my money, but there's laws for if you got your money in a separate bank account that he can't touch it. You can only touch the money in the joint account. So you know, it's kind of like logistics there. But that's something I honestly have to pray about. I wouldn't mind marrying someone that makes more less than me, but yeah, no, you're not gonna cross me. I'm gonna know the law.
You know,
I
we
understand
all
if you wouldn't
we say
mind.
this, but the question would be, are you know, because you're female and you're making that much money, you know, you're more intimidation to a man, right? You understand that?
Mhm.
Of a man of lower standard coming towards you is going to be so more intimidated because he's like, I can't live up to your standard, or I'm not up there. And that may intimidate somebody that you may find the right one, but he just may not be in that level that you're looking at. And he may not understand that prenup part because he's sitting there, well, I don't know about that because I'm poor.
But you know, I think a lot of people think that all lawyers are balling like Mercedes Benz. No, some of them are kind of broke. Public defenders don't make that much actually, and I do want to get some experience doing public defenders. And loans gonna take most of my check. So I think, you know, I'm not gonna be balling, you know, coming out with Birkin bags or Kelly crocodile bags, you know, at first. But yeah, I mean,
But you
Well,
know
I
what?
know
Let me say
Michael
that.
wanted to say something. Uh,
I'm gonna say a brief statement. Let you handle what you may. Don't be all book smart. Be street smart. Okay, because game recognized game. So
no, you're
even though you have the finances down pat, you have the law down pat, but you come with you that street game, you be like slapped in the face. Like, I don't know what happened to me. So know both sides of the streets, or both sides level, both sides of the fence, so to say. So just be on point, like you said, stay prayed up so that you can recognize both languages that's coming at you.
and also I would say if you meet a real man, and you don't have that many these days, unfortunately, but a real man knows what God said, and he'll treat you the way God intended you to be treated. And so, therefore, your salary will not dictate his heart, because a real man is going to step up and do what he has to do, whether he's making the same amount or less, because that's not going to intimidate him, because he's a real man. And when you're dealing with a man who loves God and treats you like God intended it, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Can I give? I'm gonna give a brief statement. I'm done. I know we're on
No,
time, but when I was unemployed here in Georgia, I was unemployed for 3 years straight nonstop unemployed, and my wife was carrying the load. You know what? I felt comfortable because we had a relationship where we were just comfortable with one another. We related to one another. We had that relationship with one another, and I knew I left it in God's hand that He would take care of it all, and He did. And she carried the load. We were great. We talked about finances. We talked about day-to-day things, talked week-to-week things, talked about monthly. You had a plan, and we did well. We're still here today. And one thing, the Lord, our bread was sure. We still have a shelter. And when I finally got on, then she lost her job, so it fell back on me. So um, I'm going to say this: keep looking at the Bible as your guide. Look at Adam and Eve as your guide. Whatever God puts in the Bible is your model. Follow the model. I think you'll be all right.
and you know, I think I've seen with you know, I'll leave them anonymous, but I've seen this couple, and basically the wife, she works, she's been working all their marriage, however long they've been married, but he buys cigarettes and he buys beer. There's no cigarettes and beer coming out of my paycheck, and you know, you lost your job because someone got in a beef with you and you weren't going to be disrespected like that. No, what you're going to do is go tell them that you're sorry and get your job back. You know, like certain things like that, like you're not, what is this? Like, you're buying expenses, but the lady, she's tired. She works in home care, so she has to stay with this elderly lady 6 nights out of the week, and she has to lift her up. She's getting older and older, and she can't spend time with her grandkids, but he over there in the house, and she can't even enjoy her own house, but he's sucking up all the air. So, I like that you guys had the compromise there. But then I also look at situations like that, and I'm just like,
Yeah, but Brianna, that goes back to what I said about a man. That man is not living up to his potential. He is not being a man, and he is not taking on the responsibility that God charged him to lead out. Just because you lose your job doesn't mean you lose your mind. What it does is you take those other responsibilities on. Even though Michael was without a job for 3 years, because I've known Michael forever. He and I were friends before Pam, but when he married Pam, Pam became a part of my friendship. And it's supposed to be that way. You're supposed to evolve. And Pam and I should have become friends. If we didn't, it might say something about me. But what I'm saying is, Michael didn't sit down. It wasn't that he didn't continue to go out and look for jobs. It didn't mean that he just gave up. No, he kept plugging, but he did what he had to do to supplement the home while she was doing what she was doing until he could find something. And that's how they work. And they always, one thing I like about their relationship is the fact that they still date each other. They're still finding out about each other. Just because you got married doesn't mean you stop dating. That's a big mistake that people make. It's a huge mistake, and you've got to make sure that you keep that thing fresh and still do those adventurous things. Andre? Can't hear you.
I was saying interesting.
Oh,
Like that was part of what I was talking about, where it's what are you doing differently in that relationship versus the marriage. But Corinne answered part of it too with the financial aspect, but that the whole dating thing, even while you're married, is still valid. It's still part of the whole, where even after you're married, you're still in a relationship, and that relationship, it needs to be growing as much as possible.
My parents have been married almost 60 years, and they still date. They still hold each other's hand, and I'm like, wow, that's what it's about. And that's how they've been able to survive, because marriage changes, love changes. You don't have that love that you had when you were in your 20s or whenever you got married. It has evolved and changed so many times. And if you don't have that friendship, that relationship, it's not going to last. You have to keep learning each other, because you change. You're not the same person you were at 19. You've grown. And if you haven't grown, then there's a problem. There's a big problem.
Not just that. I feel like that goes back into the dating part of it. I feel like, for example, what Brianna was talking about with the lady and her husband, I feel like that goes back into, did you marry him based on who you thought he could be? Or did you marry him based on who he is, that he presented himself to you? Because I don't feel like many people really change, like, as far as that, like, when you get in a relationship, if they show you who they are from the beginning, this is how I do things, this is how I do things, and you're like, okay, well, once I get in a relationship, I'm going to change that. I don't feel like you're going to have, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have the outcome you want. It's not going to change, because they already showed you that's who they are, and you're trying to change them instead of accepting who they present themselves to be.
Well, you got some people who can fake it till they make it, but the majority of people, when they show you who they are, believe them. My aunt used to say that all the time. And people don't want to believe that this is who people are, and they think that they can change them. You can't change anybody. You got to change yourself. You have to change your mindset. And if you're not willing to put up with whatever you see, then you need to move on.
And see, from what Sonia said, that leads to that chat question. the 13-year relationship, the in and out, because now you trying to change them and not accepting who they are, what they're showing out to be. That's why the relationship, the so-called relationship, extends 5, 6, 7, 10 years, and that's why it grows to be what it is.
Yeah, and it never moves on. It doesn't evolve, and it's supposed to evolve from a relationship to a permanent thing. And if it's not evolving, ladies, and you're getting those red lights, God sends those for a reason. He sends those for a reason, and we have to have enough common sense to know, hey, this isn't working. This is broken. I want to, we've gone over time. It's been a wonderful conversation. Maybe we need to have a part two because there were some questions that I truly did not get to. And I know that we needed to try to get to those, but, time moves fast. In closing statements, if anybody has a closing comment that they would like to make, I'd say please make it now.
Put boundaries in place as well as standards, and don't go below them because you're trying to see if this person will fit. Oh, wait, if I bring this down, maybe don't do it, because if they're worth it, they'll present themselves eventually, I feel like. But don't lower your standards trying to make sure that you're in a relationship and stuff, because the right person will come along eventually.
Thank you. Anyone else? Final?
I just want to say, Mr. Mike, you came with me with some hard questions, try to get me, but I appreciate your insight. You and Miss Pam, you guys are a beautiful couple. And Miss Toya, love you always. I love your insight. You always keep it real. So, and Corinne and Miss Sonia, thank you for having me. All love.
Always love you. Anyone else?
Brianna and Andre and Corinne, y'all hold on. Y'all got time. Hold on, y'all.
Toya, Pam.
I'm gonna say this. In a relationship, in and out, if we can have God involved, it will make life a little bit more easier. We tend to always sacrifice the religious part of it, but we have to keep it involved to make our relationship work. We need God in the midst of all our relationship.
Thank you for that. And I'm going to segue to say, when you keep God first, He will always work it out. Just because somebody is beautiful on the outside doesn't mean they're beautiful on the inside. And, looks are fading. We all get older. We all spread a little bit. We all have our issues. But at the end of the day, if you have God at the center and at the front of your relationship or your marriage, He will work it out for you. Thank you so much, everyone on the panel, everyone who's out there listening. Thank you for supporting us.
One thing.
Oh, go right ahead, Andre. Sorry.
I will say, whenever you want to go into a relationship, once you have decided to start on that relationship, make everything that you want plain, because communication is key. If you don't tell them what you want, and if you don't make sure that they tell you what they want, you're going to be playing games with each other for 13 years. And that's no fun. Not for anybody.
No. Because our feelings get involved. And when our feelings get involved, people get hurt. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to be happy and have that helpmate, that friend, that confidant, because that's what God intended it to be. But when you start, also, if you let other people into your relationship and let them know too much about what's going on, they can tear up a relationship. So we have to be very careful about our balance, because God also gave us common sense to have that balance. Want to thank everybody for joining us for another segment of Let's Get Real. We're going to do part two. Like I said, we didn't even get to half of the questions, but thank you all. And if you will join us in 2 weeks, we'll be back We're every second and fourth Sabbath afternoon, right around 6. Be blessed. God love you. Peace.